trees were old here, possibly thousands of years old, with thick gray trunks and colorful leaves like rainbows, and they seemed to be watching as Teran walked through them. He was used to people watching him as he walked through mountain towns, which probably rarely had visitors, or past farmers plowing their fields on hillsides, looking up to see who this strange young traveler was. But this was different. He was deep in the woodlands of Arthena, alone, but not alone. As he followed the wide trail through the trees, his feet crushed nuts and snapped twigs. He moved with haste, drawing ever closer to his destination, the northern city of Heavenscrest, where an army of rebels fought against the corrupt kingdom of Kale. Teran hoped to fulfill the dying wish of his master by traveling there. Thelnick had been everything to Teran, a teacher and a father, and now he was gone. The leaves above the tall, thick trunk surrounding Teran rustled and moved, massaged by gentle breezes. At times the forest seemed to whisper ancient secrets, but when Teran listened closely, he realized the sounds were just the cracking of branches, the rumbling of nearby brooks, and the shuffling of tiny animal feet in the underbrush. Still, he often clenched the hilt of the old sword hanging by his side, glancing from left to right, listening for any signs of bandits or predators of the non-human kind. Bold yellow sunlight brightened the colorful woodlands in the late afternoon. The songs of thorn singers and whibbleweers occasionally broke the relative quiet as the tiny flying mammals searched for mates in the springtime setting. Several multicolored lights startled Teran until he realized they were just flicker flies dancing through the sunbeams. Teran noticed many of the thick trunks around him now had doors and windows, and he realized he was walking through a tree village. The village seemed deserted, or the people were scared to come outside. There was no one on any of the roads, and not a curtain stirred in any of the windows of any of the tree homes. As Teran contemplated the unsettling quiet, a rainbow curved down from the colorful leaves above, which seemed strange since it hadn't rained in days. A bubble floated down from the limbs above Teran and hovered in front of his face, spinning and flashing vibrant colors. A beautiful woman's face appeared inside the bubble, smiling playfully as she looked out at Teran with seductive golden eyes. "Not much of a formidable warrior, are you?" she asked as she looked him up and down. "Why is it always the weakest, puniest looking kids? You're just barely old enough to hold a fork, let alone a sword." Teran stepped back. "Am I hallucinating now?" "No, you're not," the bubble said. "I assure you, I'm as real as the trees around you." "For all I know," Teran said, looking around at the windows and doors and the wide trunks, "those aren't real either." "Do I need to spin your face?" she asked with a chuckle as she moved closer, a finger width away from his nose. "What do I need to do to prove it? I'm real." Teran nodded. "So then I've really just been insulted by a bubble with a face?" "I suppose you could say that." She floated back a little bit. "What sort of creature are you?" Teran asked. "What sort of creature are you?" She shot back. "I asked you first," Teran said. She glared at him. "I'm not a creature." "Well," Teran said, gripping the hilt of his sword, "whatever you are, if you insult me again, I'll pop you." She gasped. "I was just messing with you a little. No need for violence." "You'd better tell me who or what you are," Teran said, "and why you're bothering me." She smiled. "My name's Alara, and I'm actually here to help you. Though why I'd help someone rude as you, I really don't know." "Help me?" Teran asked. I can't believe I'm actually talking to a bubble. I can't believe I'm actually talking to a child with a sword." A child with a sword, Teran paced back and forth. I'm 18 years old, and I was trained by the great Thelnick himself, so don't underestimate my skill with this. He put his hand on the hilt of his weapon again. I was trained by the great Thelnick himself, she mocked. I know you were trained by Thelnick for 5 years. She frowned. Sorry to hear about his death, by the way. I know how important he was to you. He was like a father to me. Teran looked down at his feet. The wound still felt fresh, even though it had been a year. Terence had spent months in grief, unable to leave Thelnick's house, living off what little savings his master had left him, until he was able to pull himself together enough to leave and head for Heavenscrest in order to fulfill Thelnick's last wish. I loved him, Terence said. Thelnick had been the only person other than Nadja who'd ever showed him love or respect. Nadja was his girlfriend in the past. Ever since you tried to rob him, Alara said, and he beat you with his cane, she chuckled, and you thought he was an old man who'd be an easy target. He changed my life. Teran glared at her. Before you met him, you were nothing but a worthless thief, Alara said. She looked him up and down once again with her golden eyes. You're still worthless, Teran of Eastshire, but at least you're not a thief anymore. Teran frowned. How do you know so much about me? She smiled. I know what I need to know. I can show you the way if you'll let me. The way? Teran asked. I know how to get where I'm going. Other than that, I just want some food and a nice bed and maybe some female companionship. The thieves' good code Teran had lived by before meeting Thelnick stated that thieves could never allow themselves to get close to anyone, for a thief's world was a solitary one. But Teran had let himself get too close to Nadja as they stole and survived together in the stressed streets of Eastshire, and then Teran grew close to Thelnick, who'd been like a father to him. But now, after years with Nadja and then Thelnick, Teran was alone again, and it would be very hard for him to ever get close to anyone again. He'd thought a lot about the thieves' code recently, and was scared maybe his old ways might be coming back. But maybe a new woman was what he needed to get over his depression and finally get over Nadja once and for all. Female companionship? Alara asked. Yeah, Teran said. You know, I'm a female. She winked at him. Teran cleared his throat. I was hoping for someone with a little more substance. Hey, she shouted. That's pretty low coming from a former thief. I'll forget you said that. Anyway, Teran said, I'm looking for a place I can eat and rest after days of traveling through mountains and woodlands. And all I've found is this deserted tree village. I'm desperate. I'd even seek advice from you at this point. You have come a long way, Teran of Eastshire, Alara said, but I can assure you you'll find everything you need right here. Teran looked around at the seemingly deserted tree homes. Here? Yup, Alara said. This village is called Fairy Glen, and it was fine before the local bullies started terrorizing the villagers. Terrorizing? Teran asked. Kidnapping the women and children, Alara said, doing awful, unspeakable things. He's a monster known as the Thorgon, and you need to find him and stop him. Teran wasn't sure he wanted to get sidetracked from his journey, even if it was to kill a monster that was terrorizing villagers. I don't know. What would Thelnick think if you let the Thorgon continue its murderous reign? Alara asked. Teran drew his sword. He had a strong aversion to bullies after the way he and Nadja had been treated by the leader of their thieves guild for most of Teran's early life before Thelnick found him. Besides, after days of boring traveling, he was ready for some adventure and excitement. Heavenscrest would still be there when he was done. Where can I find this bully? Alara smiled. Follow me. This is, if you want to read more, this is Heroes and Legends, Book 1, The Champions of Heavenscrest. And I'm Michael Monroe. And if it's available on Amazon, and if you'll find it if you just search for Heroes and Legends by Michael Monroe. Thank you.